Fans, we're back. We're joined by Simon Gray, our athletic director, talking a little bit about the Purple Eagles and the vision for the future and what we're currently doing to improve our situation here. We're going to shift our focus to the financial commitment of the university as well as the department on helping us with training. So I'll turn it over to Simon. Maybe we can talk about the financial commitment, not only from the university standpoint, but our individual department.
Right. So one of the things we hear is we're in a competitive business, and our performance hasn't met our expectations across in many sports, not just a couple. In many sports over the past few years, we're 10th in the Commissioner's Cup standings, and that's not where we want to be. Nobody signed up. We're not in this business to be mediocre. We're in this business to win. And so that's an area that we're definitely focused on. Right. When you think about making improvements, there are several areas to focus on, right? But finances is one of those areas. So when people look at our budget, we're 10th out of 11 in the MAC. In our hockey conference, we're more towards the middle of the pack. Okay, so that's an area where we feel like we need to improve. But the university does. The university is committed to athletics. From the board to Father Marr to the administrative leadership team, they are committed to success in Division I athletics. And the university is very helpful to us in what they give us financially, right? So whether it's our main buckets are personnel, scholarships, and operating budget. And so we are given the resources that we need to conduct business. It's the improvements in addition to conducting business, or if we want to enhance how we're conducting business, which is where that falls on us, okay, to raise some money, to bring in more donors, to help, to do more fundraising activities within the sports, to make, we feel like there's about a $200,000 sweet spot that we would like to raise each year to right size our budget so that operationally we feel like we're in a good place. And then anything in addition that we want to do, whether it's facility enhancements, whether it's enhancing our travel, that's stuff that we want to go out and find money for. Right. So the university is certainly committed. They are, and they're committed to Division I athletics, and I feel very good about where we are there. It's now the onus is on us to increase fundraising, to increase our corporate partnership program, to sell more tickets, to get more guarantee games, and to do more activities and fundraising so that we can have more money to do the special things. I was very pleased last year that our Purple and White program brought in the second highest total in the past 8 years. And so we had a number of donors get on board, and they were very generous in their donations. And I felt very, very good about that. A lot of hard work from you, a lot of hard work from our coaches, but most importantly, it was engagement from the fan base, from alumni, from fans around, and we just need that to continue.
Certainly.
Right, and I know that's a focus of Father Marr and his leadership is on development. It's a focus within our athletics department that we just need more people to get involved and to help us.
Absolutely. Speaking with financial commitment and talking about the MAC budget, obviously being 10th of 11 school on average of what we provide, geographically we're a northern school, and we're an outlier from that standpoint, and many of our costs are sunk into the travel and to the transporting our student athletes to competition. Maybe we could talk about why we need to right size our budget by about $200,000 to make sure that their travel experience is what we're looking for from a student athlete experience in general.
Steve, that's a great question, because one thing we will not skimp on is safety. We cannot skimp on safety, and we cannot skimp on travel, because that helps us in our performance when we get to wherever we're going. You're exactly right. When you look at the majority of the MAC, 9 out of 11 schools are focused on the eastern seaboard, right? Sienna's in Albany, but a lot are right there in New York City area, and so they don't have very far when they travel amongst each other. Then Canisius and Niagara are up here in western New York. So while they're making per sport one trip up here to western New York to compete, we're always going downstate and getting over that way. So even when you look at the numbers, it's a bit misleading, because by far the greatest increase that we've had in expenses in the last few years is in travel. And that's an area that is not going to go down anytime soon. And so we have very good partners in travel, our bus company, those that help us get flights. All of that is excellent. It's just those prices are going to continue to go up. So we need to find ways to help supplement that.
Right. And you touched on it a little bit about the commitment from Father Marr and the board to Division I. I hear the rumors all the time. I know you do too.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Division III and the prospects of Niagara ever going down there.
Right. So I heard those rumors as well, and nothing that I want. I don't ever want to disparage Division III in any of my comments. I don't. That's not at all where I'm coming from. But I have never heard anyone on this campus talk about moving Niagara Athletics to Division III. So from the leadership of the Board of Trustees to the President's office, Father Marr, to the President's cabinet, what we're committed on is success in Division I athletics. And so while Division III is permeated out there, and sure, I've heard it, and I know people talk about it, I just want to stress that I have not heard that within the confines of the leadership of this campus.
Yeah, that's great. Oftentimes, someone you report to, you don't get to ask the difficult questions without backlash. So, fortunately, I'm going to hide behind the cameras to ask this next question, and or really some of the fans that have brought it forth, and I can just be the message deliverer as opposed to the person bringing it. What are you doing personally to make this situation better?
Well, here's the good news for your safety, Steve, is that you and I have talked about this, right? Because you and I are very like-minded, and we never turn off.
Yeah.
One of the things about being in intercollegiate athletics is this is a lifestyle. This is a 24-hour a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year commitment, right? And so you and I, and many people within our leadership team, like while this question is directed at me, I couldn't fairly assess what we've done and the improvements that we've made in the 2 years that I've been here without giving a lot of credit to those surrounding us. So our administrative leadership team within athletics, all of our staff, including our coaches, staff, and our student athletes, who are always good about giving us ideas. All of we're all working together. Absolutely. And we're all pulling in the right direction. And I hope the folks, one of the things I've tried to do in the 2 years I've been here is be accessible. Yep. And I hope the folks know that I will always respond to emails, to calls, set meetings, those sort of things. I might not give you the answer you want to hear.
Correct.
But it is an honest answer, and I will never mislead anybody. And so accessibility is something that I've tried to pride myself on, and I hope folks know that as well. In the first year that I was here, the first year, one of the things we focused on was accountability and goal setting and making sure that we were on the same page and thinking about what this department is and what it could be in some respects. But to be honest, in the first year, I didn't know. It was a feeling out process and figuring out not only where our department is, but where our university is, right, and how they commingle. And so a lot of the first year was focused on, where are we and what are the areas that I think we need to emphasize and get better. The university is undertaking a prioritization effort. We're doing the same thing within the athletics department. We've put in place some strategic goals. We've developed key performance indicators to tell us whether we're meeting those goals or whether we're working towards achieving those goals. We've put those in place for the first 2 years that I've been here. Now we're looking at, in consultation with the university's longer term strategic plan, what's our business plan? Right. What are the nuts and bolts that we're going to put in place to get there? That's something, our fans will see internally, we will see within the next year for sure. I would say we're going to have our business plan in pretty good shape by the fall. And that's something we will certainly share. I think we have made several gains. I think we've made incredible improvements. Some of it is things that our fans don't often see or can't see every day, day in and day out. But when we think about culture and we think about who we want on board, I think I'm very happy with who we've brought in. We've had some opportunities to bring folks in, some coaches that we've brought in. We've brought some staff members, and if I can speak in general terms about those folks, what we're looking for are ambitious people who don't make excuses. That, Steve, you do a lot of hiring, I do a lot of hiring in this department. We are forthcoming with our situation.
Yeah, very much
and
so.
There are no excuses. Our goal is to win. We want to be competitive. Our number one goal, or number one priority for our student athletes is to graduate. And so we impart that on our coaches, and we're going to look for coaches and staff to come in that are focused on that goal and making it happen. But we've brought in folks who understand that piece and then also have a good background and experience that they know how to get there. They know how to take what we offer and what we have and to get us to that championship level. And so I feel very, very good about those folks that we've brought in. I do feel good about our connections in the community. I think we've done a good job of getting out there and meeting people getting people involved. We have a long way to go.
Sure,
Don't
sure.
get
More
me
work
wrong.
to be done.
Yeah, a lot of work to be done. But that credit goes to us a little bit because we're out there, but mainly to the receiving end. So the folks that are that want to meet with us. There is an incredible amount of passion out there for Niagara University athletics, and even the folks who are frustrated or disappointed, they have every right to be right now, but they're passionate and they want us to get better. And so that's one of the areas that I want people to know, is that day in and day out, we are focused on how to get better. We're focused on developing our priorities. It's not going to happen overnight, but tough decisions are being made all the time in where to focus our resources, and within those resources, what we're doing to get better.
Let's talk specifics. We talk about developing and all those type of pieces. We are not only developing our student athletes, and we do that through our coaches, but we're trying to develop our coaches too. And many of our coaches are their first opportunity to be a head coach, and we're helping them grow. And maybe we can talk about a seminar that we just put on with an alum that I thought particularly went well with our coaches, and how we can then start relating to this generation. Maybe you can speak to that.
Yeah, good. Thanks, Steve. So one of the things that we're doing is looking at data. We're not just making decisions on a whim or what we think is right. And so some of the data that what we focus on is our student athlete surveys. So let's hear from our student athletes about their experience and what areas we can do better. I think there's a disconnect between our student athletes of today and the coaches who were student athletes at their time. So when we talk about parenting or we talk about coaching, oftentimes folks parent or coach the way they were parented or coached. And we've seen a significant paradigm shift in the student athletes of today and what their expectations are and what motivates them.
Right.
So we brought in Catherine Rafter, who's a women's basketball alumni and who's had just an exceptional corporate career in the airline business, and is now a very well thought of consultant in several areas of expertise, primarily around leadership development, high performance teams, which is where we want to go, right? We want all high performance teams. So she came in and just explained it, and we took a hard look. I took a hard look at myself. I know each of us individually took a hard look and reflected on how we are attempting to motivate and influence individuals, and then what it takes from those folks' standpoint. What do they get influenced by? How are they motivated? So that's one area where we've taken some data and tried to apply that to make ourselves better, very specific. Some other things that we've done in the alumni engagement, we brought in the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame came back this past spring, and we had several worthy and terrific candidates, but one of the teams that went in was the 99-2000 team, which was exceptional and went to the Elite Eight. And so having those folks back on campus was tremendous. Next year, we're looking at a basketball alumni reunion with an alumni game and a chance to recognize them at one of our basketball home games. So bringing folks back to campus and recognizing them for their achievements is another priority for us.
There's been many great things that you've done that maybe not recognized by the public because it's more behind the scenes work that it needed to be completed. One thing that our fans always notice is the quality of our student athletes, and particularly in men's basketball, and this also happened in women's basketball. Speak to the cost of attendance and how we were able to implement that, and how that benefits us not only in recruiting but many of the areas when it comes to student athletes.
Right. So when you're looking at specifics and you're looking at the evolution of Division I athletics, which is changing every day, and it's incumbent on us to monitor that on a daily basis so that we know where we're going, even though there's so much upheaval and it's hard to understand. But when we're thinking about enhancing the student athlete experience within the financial realm, one of the permissive legislations that came about a January ago was cost of attendance, and enabling student athletes to get money that is the difference between their full grant and aid and then what is the university determines is their cost of attendance. So that gap can now be distributed to student athletes permissively throughout the NCAA Division I. The MAC conference decided that they were going to do cost of attendance for men's and women's basketball. And whether the MAC had decided that or not, we at Niagara University were going to do that because not only is it a benefit to our student athletes, and it's something that helps them because they can't work during the year. It helps them get some spending money that they can use for living expenses, but also it's a recruiting advantage.
Sure.
If you're not doing that, it can be used against you in the recruiting world. So that's one specific example of what we've done. Now, what are we looking to do? We're looking to expand that out into other areas of our department where it makes sense, right? And within the confines of what we can do university-wise and athletic department-wise within our scholarship distribution of how can we implement cost of attendance to maximize that permissive legislation.
Right, and take advantage of it to get us some competitive edge.
Right.
Is there any other area that you have done specifically that you want to touch on that maybe I'm perhaps overlooking?
Well, I'd like folks to know some things that have been in place that they haven't seen yet, right? So we're looking at ways to increase revenue and be more efficient. So we put an RFP, and Steve, you were spearheading this, and you're running the leadership on this, but we're looking at outsourcing our corporate rights and bringing in a company who can full-time, 100% of the time, go out and sell Niagara athletics and bring in corporate partners. Some of it you'll see as signage in the facilities, some of it you'll hear when you're listening to our broadcast, but they also will do specific events. They may bring in a sponsor to do specific events, like the seminar that we just did could have been sponsored. So there's all sort of activation that this company can do for us. So we're always looking for ways to be more efficient, and of course we're always looking for ways to increase revenue. So there are some plans that we've been working on and putting in place that just haven't come to fruition yet.